The UK government is out there telling people to prep, to get prepared. It's crazy. I never thought this day would come, but here we are, and you might want to listen to what they have to say. A Boar's Head employee is confirming one of the reports that we gave out earlier this week. That's interesting, and we're getting reports out of China that they're buying up a lot of beef. And by a lot of beef, I mean a lot of beef. And one dog's life saved by a previous report from the Poplar report. So that's a heartwarming story that you're want to hear. Let's jump into it, folks. Welcome to the Poplar report. I'm Steve Poplar. I'm an accountant by trade, and you guys send in reports about what you guys are seeing all around the world at your workplaces and at the stores that you frequent. Thanks so much for sending those reports in. We do want to thank our sponsor, Genesis Gold Group. They do make these videos possible. And if you guys have retirement accounts that you want to get into something more stable, like gold, silver, or platinum coins, they are a fantastic way to go. If you want to talk to them, there's a link at the end of the video. Now, I know a lot of you guys did complain about the music on the video that came out yesterday. And believe me, we're going to keep these videos very much similar to the way they are. But once in a while, we're going to try something a little more edited, a little more polished. So hopefully we can get out to a larger audience to bring more people in to what we're doing here. The more people we have, the better reports we have, and a lot more broad-based reports we have to share. So you guys are doing a fantastic job sharing a lot of stuff. Let's jump into your reports. So Chris says, I went to my local Aldi in southernmost part of Illinois yesterday morning and couldn't believe how many things were out of stock. There was no flour, only a few bags of sugar, very little fresh meat, and low on all milk. And then this is from a tired Boar's Head employee. Our previous report was about how they talked to the manager of their grocery and were asking why they don't have Boar's Head meat anymore, lunch meat and such, and it's because there's just not enough employees. So this is what the employee has to say. You talked about Boar's Head shortening their routes. I work for Boar's Head, and I can tell you why. We are very short on employees. From production to delivery, for every 5 employees we hire, we lose 10. That's not good math, by the way, right? Those of us that are still here have to work 12-hour shifts 6 days per week. It's wearing us out. I would like to remain anonymous, so we won't share their name. But that's what's going on with Boar's Head, and that's what we're seeing across the U.S. economy in a lot of places, right? We're seeing it in hospitals. We're seeing it in the most critical areas where they can't get enough good workers, and that means more and more work is falling on the few that are remaining, and it's burning people out. People are starting to quit just because they have too much to do, too much is relying on them, and they're just like, I'm done with it. This is from Bob. The UK government has told people that they need to buy battery-operated devices in order to be less reliant on electricity. So the Deputy Prime Minister Dowden of the UK came out and said Britons should be more personally reliant and told them to stock up on torches, which for us Americans that means a flashlight, and candles in case of power cuts. When the government tells you that there may be power cuts, might want to pay attention. The same people that are always out there saying, don't panic, no, everything's fine. When they tell you things aren't fine, it's usually worse than even they're letting on, right? So pay attention there in the UK. We're also talking about that in Texas as well as California. Power grids are becoming more and more unstable due to the very nature of what they're doing with all this green agenda. And it's all about woke nonsense as opposed to actual grid stability. VX1 says, my girlfriend's little dog picked up the bacterial infection going around, was treating the little feller's ears for over a month, thinking he had ear mites. Glad she took him to a vet. He is feeling better and is starting to play again. I love the little guy. If Mr. Poplar had not informed us about the infection going around, perhaps we may have lost him. Well, it's good to hear that he is doing better, and so glad to hear that. If you guys have a puppy or a dog that is acting sick, particularly coughing, please do take steps to make sure that they are all right. Homestead Nurse has this to say: my 2 cats used to love the Aldi canned food, but lately they have been refusing to eat it. I alternate between that and the other canned foods, but when I open the Aldi food, they walk over to the bin where I keep the dry food and meow until I get them dry food. So now I just leave the wet food out to feed the possums and other wildlife. I don't know what changed, but something did. Also, I have noticed that Aldi produce section has been sparse. Much of their produce comes from South America, so maybe they didn't get their shipments on time. Now, the United States, across the United States, most of the produce at certain times of the year does come from South America and Central America. That is just a reality, especially with fruit. So be aware of that. Anna, sharing about Walmart, ordered for pickup. Got text that said my order was ready for pickup. About a half hour later, I got the text that said my items were out of stock. A hold for the amount was placed on my checking account. A call to find out when I would receive my money back. 7 to 10 days, period. So now I do not have the money to purchase from somewhere else. Never again. A lot of you guys are talking about that, how if you put in orders and they don't have it, they're still putting that hold on your credit card. Now, if you're using a bank card, that can be a much bigger deal than if you're, a credit card. Okay, they're putting that hold and you lose access to credit. But if you're using a debit card, they're putting that hold on your checking account, which is more painful, right? Amy says, SB 35, this is for California, Affordable Housing Streamlined Approval Process in the state of California. You can just hear from that name that this is going to be something really dumb and complicated. That means the 11 SB 35 builds in California look all the same. Yes, that's right. They decided that they're going to streamline them by making them all exactly the same, and much less parking to make it difficult to drive. Looking at the Marin County and Sebastopol, California, if the mean price of people's wages there is $100,000 per year, the rent would be $3,000 per month. That's affordable, And the rest of the apartments could be about $8,000 per month rent to make up for the lower rent. For me, at my service-connected VA pension, I would not be able to afford what they call affordable housing in California. It's just like someone went over to that dumpster and set it on fire, and that dumpster is called California. It is absolutely crazy. I think things are crazy here in Pennsylvania, but I'm so glad I'm not in New York or in California. But Pennsylvania is a hot mess too. Texas S says, East Texas, I was the one that told you about the pre-sale for 2.5 times on the hoof price for beef. Went back today to pick up the cuts from the one steer we didn't sell and got more details. Sounds like big foreign sellers like Brazil and Argentina are no longer selling 90% of their cattle to the United States. That's how they normally do it. Usually it's shipped, sold, and processed somewhere and comes back to the big markets. Well, it ain't coming back. So they're shipping it over to China, and then it comes over to the United States from China. Well, it ain't coming back. China is buying it up mostly. So supermarkets are pre-ordering massive contracts to large slaughterhouses that are reselling what they can scrap up from local processors. And it's just not the quantity, but the quality. Many underweight calves, old milk cows, steer with parasites, just barely under USDA regulations, bottom barrel stuff. Brangus, Beefmaster, Wagyu, and all these top level meats are being hoarded for boutique, read hipster markets for 5 times last year's over the on the hoof rates. So all the good stuff is being hoarded for. So I don't know if that was supposed to be Angus, or if Brangus is actually a thing. But 5 times last year on the hoof rate. You will never have beef at this quality in your lifetime again at this rate. Buy freezers now, stock only beef. I couldn't have said it any better than they did, right? This is important stuff. We've been saying this for months, friends. We can see this coming. It is a freight train coming right at us. The Chinese see it. The Australians see it. The Brazilians see it. The supermarkets see it. Everybody sees it coming at us. The question is, are you going to take steps or aren't you? Because there's going to be a whole lot of people moaning and complaining next year. Are you going to be one of them, or are you going to be someone who thinks ahead? And I know it can be expensive to get ahead on beef. It can be. I just got another 10 cans of Keystone beef myself. Right now, apparently the shredded beef Keystone is down $1 on sale. I don't know why it's on sale, but I availed myself of that. So this is from Sam. In southern Idaho, the 5 dozen eggs were right about $6 a couple of months ago. Yesterday they were $11.44. $6, $11.44 at Walmart. And that's for the 5 dozen. Yep. Fullo says, even on the MSM, or the mainstream media, or the lamestream media as we like to call them, right? Spain has had another failed harvest of olive oil. Shortages and high prices to come. Not making this stuff up, friends. Even the mainstream media sees this coming of shortages of olive oil. If you like your olive oil, stock up, friends. It does last pretty long. I know a lot of people are like, oh, it goes bad really fast. It doesn't go bad that fast, okay? It takes, as long as you store it properly, as long as you keep it away from oxygen, as long as you keep it away from light, and as long as you keep it at a relatively good temperature, it lasts fairly long, years, okay? And when you start talking about some of the other oils like soybean oil, which is vegetable oil, or like canola oil, I know a bunch of you are like, that stuff's the death. You know, it lasts a long time. You can always sniff it, and even if it goes rancid on you, you can use it for other things other than eating. And you'll know if it goes rancid. You take one whiff of that, you know. It's still edible, but you're not going to want to eat it. Pantry says, my daughter and I keep getting better and worse, but her sister is fine with this respiratory illness. There's an outbreak in Ohio, and we live in Fort Wayne, Indiana, on the Ohio line. I have a BP cuff, and my blood pressure skyrocketed also since I've been sick, and I've never been sick this long. Remember, we talked about how they're seeing that a lot of people's blood pressure levels are going up dramatically. Now, is that just stress, or is that a significant a symptom of what's going around? I don't know, but I'm hearing it enough that you might want to be checking that if you get sick, and if you think it's serious, you know. I've had to sleep upright to attempt to keep my sinuses clear. Local news is saying nothing about this, but both my daughter's teachers were sick, as well as half of both classrooms. It's going around, friends. It is certainly going around. We had a lot of people out sick last week from my church here in Pittsburgh. So J-Chap says, I went to mail a package to my granddaughters today, and I couldn't believe the cost of shipping. It was going from Wichita, Kansas to California. The package was 24 by 17 by 12, and the post office wanted $135 priority or $109 ground. Now, unless you put bricks in there, I'm surprised too. That's a lot of money. I told them that was robbery and walked out. I then called UPS, and they gave me an estimate of $65. So I drove to UPS and sent the package. It's insane how the prices have gone up. UPS, you'd think you think that United States Postal Service would be a lot cheaper than UPS. But that's not the case necessarily, friends. So if you get a really high price from the USPS, you might want to go over to UPS or FedEx to check just to see. You can check those prices online usually. It would have been cheaper just to have ordered something and then that offered free shipping and had it sent directly to their house. But I couldn't do that because I wanted homemade crocheted presents that came from the heart. This year that cost me more money, but I love my granddaughter and of course spent the $65. If people are shipping gifts, they need to be aware that it's going to cost them an arm and a leg to do so. If you guys are seeing that too out there, I imagine you are. Be aware of that. August Blue says, in the state of Alabama, just sent income tax filers a refund of $150 per single filer and $300 for people filing jointly. Alabama has a budget surplus. In a world of Californians, California governments and these other governments that are massively in deficit, that is just crazy. Beginning in 2024, there will be no state income tax on overtime. That's Alabama for you, friends. Pick which states you're living in because the difference these days in governance could not be clearer. And it is definitely becoming more and more evident as these states either become redder or bluer as the days and weeks and months go forward. All right, friends, if you want to get some more information from Genesis Gold Group, you can click on that link right there. If you have an update for us, you can use the word update on any comment on this channel. It'll get it to the right place, and make sure you give us some sort of geographical location. If you want to check out another video from this channel, there's one right up here. I'll see you over there, or I'll see you guys later. Steve Poplar of the Poplar Report, out.